From WCRS Studios in Greenwood, South Carolina, this is Meet Me at the Diner with your host, Ann Eller.
Oh, that's right. We're right here on WCRS Radio, and today my very special guest is the one and only City Manager Julie Wilkie, and we're going to be doing a town hall. Now, we have a bunch of questions that have come in, but if you want to send us a question, you still have opportunity. Text it to us at 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. So, Julie Wilkie, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Have you been having a good day here today?
Yep. Busy like all days, but it's been a good one.
Looking forward to this town hall?
Yeah, this is my favorite meeting format, Q&A.
Q&A. All right. Well, I thought before we got started with some of the questions, maybe I know this big trash rollout is something that a lot of people are interested in. Would you like to at least explain to them what is going on with that?
Sure. So, bulk collection at the curb is a big topic of conversation always. I've been with the city 15 years and it's been a topic the whole time. So really this campaign is to educate our citizens on the way our ordinance is written, on the proper way that you can place bulk items and yard debris at the curb. So it goes through, this is what we pick up, this is what we don't pick up, this is how you can put it there, and it gives you an opportunity to, if you have a group that you want us to come speak to, we'll come and answer all your questions about curbside. And really it's City Council's position that we want to make sure that we educate the public on the proper procedure before we punish people for doing it the wrong way.
Before you punish people, what are you talking about doing, Julie?
Sure. I mean, you can be fined for putting it out there the wrong way, and you'll have to come explain to Judge Miller why you didn't follow the rules. So we're going to be pushing it out, a hard rollout. We're going to be speaking to a lot of community groups. There's a lot of information on our website, which I know some people don't use computers. We're putting it on Facebook. I know some people don't have social media.
That's why you're here on the radio.
That's right. I know some people don't listen to the radio. We have paper flyers. Anyway, if you want a flyer, we'll give it to you. You can hand it out in your neighborhood. We're going to come speak to HOAs and, property management association, the realtors
and this is
association.
Within the city.
Only in the city. Only in the city, yes.
So what exactly is changing?
Nothing's changing.
Okay.
We're just educating our citizens on the way the ordinance is written. I think there probably just needs to be some clear clarification on this is the way the city will pick up your bulk and your yard waste.
Well, there's something about put it to the right, out of sight or something. Is that some little...
Just pile it right.
Pile it right, okay.
And we'll pick it up. You can't mix piles. You can't put loose trash at the curb. You can't put huge logs and pieces of debris. We can't pick that up. When you go out to the landfill, what most people don't realize is different things go in different holes, so to speak. Right. So you can't just pick it all up, and you can't put a couch with a bunch of tree limbs. Those things have to be separated, and so we have to have it separated at the curb so that we can be efficient in our collection, and we need our citizens to help us. So this is our opportunity to educate everybody. So now, you can't say you didn't know.
Well, they can, but
but we won't believe it.
We won't believe it. Now, my question is, we still have a lot of debris in the city from the hurricane, and where are we at on that part of it, and how does that affect what you're talking about here?
So the deadline to place storm debris at the curb was, I believe, December the 19th. And there has to be a deadline. We can't continue to pick up huge trees and root balls and limbs and things. We just don't have the ability to do that. Our equipment won't do it. So the city staff, despite what some people on Facebook may think, has spent an inordinate amount of time driving around through the city. I've done it myself, the public works director, a lot of public works staff, and other people in the city staff, making a very collective list of what has not been picked up. The DOT contractor that we partnered with, I think we talked about last time I was here that the city partnered with DOT and they hired a debris contractor to come in and remove all the storm debris in the city and in the county. That contractor is gone. There was always going to be a cut point in which that contractor was going to leave. We have identified the large items that are still by the curb that need to be collected, and the city and DOT are working together to get those picked up. But you cannot put large debris at the curb any longer. If you clear it, it's got to go to the landfill. You have to get somebody to haul it off.
Okay. Now, what is the city doing about all these big root balls? How are you going to deal with those?
The city cannot pick. We have no ability. No,
but I'm saying on city property, there's still a lot. How are we? How are we going to deal with all these big root balls? So, like
trees that are down on city property and root balls on city property, we're hiring a contractor to deal with the things that are on our own property, and we'll submit that to FEMA for reimbursement. But we can't go on private property, obviously, and collect root balls. So we're handling that now. The one of the challenges that we face, and I think probably you're going to ask me about that at some point, is just getting contractors to come and do the work. And I know that private citizens are dealing with those same challenges. But at this point, if you're going to have to pay a tree company to come and deal with the debris in your yard, you're going to have to get them to haul it off because we can't collect it at the curb.
Okay. All right, so we're back to now. What's the biggest piece that you can put on the curb?
6 feet in length, 6 inches in diameter, and you can't mix it with limbs, and you can't mix it with any other debris. It has to be limbs, leaves, bulk.
Now, what about leaves? There was a discussion about how you do the leaves. You don't want those in plastic bags,
right? So the city collects leaves with a vacuum truck. So some communities do want you to bag your leaves, and it's just a difference in the way you collect and what type of equipment you use. So we have a vacuum truck. If you bag it up, we can't vacuum it. So we vacuum it up off the side of the road. So we just want you to rake it in a pile, free from other debris, and then our vacuum truck will come through and suck it up.
Okay. Now, the other thing I would... Okay, here we go. We got more questions coming in, Julie. Okay, so what about how are you dealing with the number of passes that it takes to come into a community? If you're talking about putting things in separate piles, are you making several passes through a community?
All of our trucks run together. So our bulk truck, for the most part, they stay all together in one area of the city. And that's because you don't want the limb truck to drive right past your house and not pick up your couch and then say, well, the truck drove right by here and didn't get my stuff. So that's why we all try to stay together. The bulk truck might be a couple hours behind the limb truck, but we try to all stay together. So different trucks pick up different things. If you just separate your piles, we'll get it all. But you can't put a couch and an ottoman by the side of the road and then pile a bunch of leaves on top of it and then put loose bags of trash and expect the city to pick it up, because we're not going to pick it up. You got to do your part and separate them into manageable piles.
Now, what is the outcome if we can't get this right? I know that this is a big expense, number one. What is the outcome?
Well,
you might as well put it out there.
There's a obviously there's a general penalty in all our city code. That's you go before the judge, and the city would write you a summons. You go see the judge, and the judge is going to say, you get 30 days in jail or you get a fine, and it's up to him. It's up to the judge to decide. Or he may say, hey, Ann, why don't you just go do what the city asks you to do, and we'll call it even. So it's up to the judge. I think the other consequence is going to be, and I don't like to speak for city council. I told somebody today, sometimes I'll go in meetings and I feel like I know exactly what they're going to do, and they do it. And then sometimes I go in there and I think I know what they're going to do, and they do the opposite, which is, it keeps things interesting. But I think city council is going to make some changes to the ordinance if our citizens can't work with us to do it the right way. Because we don't want the city to look like a landfill. No offense to landfills, but that's just not what you want.
Correct.
And so there's just parameters, there's rules, just like anything else. Like when you couldn't chew gum in school, it's just a rule, and we need your help following the rules so that we can collect things and collect them efficiently. And efficiently means quickly too. We don't want it to take 8 weeks to get through the whole community, but if you were to take some time to drive around and see some of the piles that we have to contend with, I think the general population would understand why it takes so long.
Right. So there'll be a rollout of this that you are getting ready with, and you will be talking to different communities, trying to make this something that people understand. Now, we did have a question come in about yard debris pickup rules, and it says, now, even though this woman has made some changes to her own way of doing things, I think the question is worthwhile bringing up. Dear City, I read the new rules. I live in my home in the city and pay taxes. Due to age and other factors, I am not able to do all my yard work myself and have a grass cutting guy who does some shrub pruning for me, and according to the rules, I am not allowed to have my shrubbery prunings put out for pickup by the city. Yet an able-bodied person who lives and pays taxes in the city and does their own yard work is allowed to put their yard debris out and have it picked up. That hardly seems equitable to me and is putting a burden on less able citizens who need some work done by someone else to get their yard work done.
Yeah, the reason why that is a rule is because that if you have a contractor that comes to your house and does yard cleanup, the likelihood is that they are charging you to haul that debris away. And that's the reason for it. A paid contractor has to haul off their own debris. We're not supplementing someone's private business, right? But we'll pick it up for the average citizen, but your contractor can't place their debris at the curb. They got to haul it off.
Even if they aren't charging you to
I mean,
do
if
it?
it's your nephew and he comes by to trim your shrubs, then absolutely put it by the side of the road. You're not paying him to do that work. But if you're hiring, I don't know, Joe Blow's landscape company, they got to haul it off.
Okay.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Unless you catch them, it's a hard thing to prove. But you should be requiring your contractor to haul those things off. It's going to get hauled off a whole lot.
But the question is, it going to cost them more to have it hauled off?
I would contend that they're already charging you to haul it off.
You would contend that. Okay.
Yes,
I think that could be part of the problem, because I think a lot of people probably wouldn't realize that they're being charged for it.
And I feel pretty confident that most contractors in the city know that they're not supposed to put it down there. They're going to charge you for it, and then they're going to put it down there, and we got to pick it up anyway.
Okay. All right. So that was her question. She did say, though, that she has made arrangements so that, but I still think that is still a good question, a valid question.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I appreciate the question. And she can call my office anytime, and I'll talk her through it.
Okay.
Happy
All right.
to.
Well, she says that actually what she says is that I previously submitted a question, but in my case it has become immaterial because my yard service is going to remove my shrubbery clippings anyway.
As they should.
Okay. Well, there you go. So that's one of our questions that came in today on our town hall that we're doing here with Julie Wilkie, City Manager Julie Wilkie. Now, lots of other questions here, Julie, but do you feel good about now? What type of time frame are you talking on the rollout on this trash deal?
We're probably going to do, I think it's going to depend on how quickly we can get in front of groups, and we'll probably play a little bit by ear, but it'll be somewhere between 60 and 90 days that will give people compliance opportunities before we start enforcing the enforcement side of the ordinance.
Yeah. And what is going to be they will issue a ticket, a summons?
What we'll probably do is we'll leave a letter in your door that say, our crew's going to be through here in 2 days, and if you will separate your piles, we'll collect them. But if it's a continuing problem, then they'll write a summons, and they'll just say, here's your ticket, you got to come to court. Just like if you get a speeding ticket, same thing.
And what do you do now? Since I don't have this issue, but what do you do now if somebody's trash is...
We still have the ability to do that, and a lot of times we'll leave the flyer and say, we came through to scout your area. Your pile is non-compliant. Here's what you need to do to fix it. As long as you have it fixed when we come through, we'll collect it. And if they don't, we'll give a 5 days, somewhere between 3 to 5 days, just depending, to get the pile right. And And if we come back through and it's right, we just pick it up and move on. But if it's still in non-compliance, then our code enforcement guys have the authority and they will write a summons. If it still doesn't get corrected, we will still come out and collect it. But then when you go to court, we're going to say it costs the city this amount of money to collect your pile, and that information will be provided to the judge.
Just out of curiosity, do other cities have this as a major problem, or is this more of a Greenwood problem? I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place, but most communities do not pick up the level of debris that we pick up. And I think that's been the debate among a lot of our council members. Some council members feel like we should continue to collect everything. Other council members feel like we should only collect yard waste. And some communities don't collect bulk at all. You have to haul it to the landfill. So it really runs the gamut. I have not heard, every city manager I've talked to, no one has these challenges like we have.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So that's a little discussion about that. Watch for this. They will be coming into their community and this type of thing. Now, Julie, one of the things that somebody did ask is, we've had some issues with the school board as far as who's in charge, whether it's an administration issue, whether it's a school board issue. And out of that, a question came is, what kind of government, what type of how does City Council, Julie Wilkie, how do y'all work together? Who is in charge? What type of? Is the council in charge? Are you in charge? How does this work?
Right. So we operate under the council manager form of government. There's 3 forms of government that our state lays out in the state code of laws. We're a council manager form of government, and that means that you elect the council, and then the council appoints an administrative official. So basically, the city manager is your CEO, and your council is your board of directors. So the council sets policy, and they're your executive branch, so to speak, and then your city manager enforces the policies that they set. So each council member gets a vote, right? And then whatever ordinances or policies that they pass, they go to the city manager to then implement those policies. All the staff works for the city manager. The only staff person that the council hires is the manager.
So, do you work for the city council city council people?
I do. Yep.
You do? Okay.
7 bosses. Whenever I go speak to like school groups, the first thing I say is raise your hand if you'd like to have 7 bosses. And it's funny because even like 3rd graders won't raise their hand. They're like, oh no. But yeah.
Yeah. So really, you're the chief person in charge then.
Yeah, like I said, the city manager's the CEO of the company, and the council is their board of directors. So they drive the policy, and it's my job to make sure the staff enforces the policies. So really, if somebody has a beef, they need to be calling you. You set me up on that one. Yeah, you can always contact our council member, right?
Right.
Their information is readily available on our website.
Exactly.
But typically, when you reach out to your council member with an issue, they're going to reach out to the city manager and say, I got this complaint today, or I have this issue. Can you help me resolve this? And that's usually the way it goes. And I do have people that call sometime and say, I want to speak to the mayor, and I'll say, I'm more than happy to get you in touch with the mayor. However, if you'll just tell me what's going on, I can probably go ahead and help you now. And I'm sure he appreciates that.
Right, I'm sure he does too. Because in some cases, it is the mayor that is the chief operating person, right?
That's right. So that's like a strong mayor form of government, right? And and then you have a council form of government, which is I was saying, I remember I went to a Ware Shoals Town Council meeting, and I remember that they had council members who were in charge of different departments.
Right.
Say Parks and Rec, and that council member was in charge of that staff and the things that happen in that department. I've never operated in that type of government before, so
right.
I would say the council manager one works the best because it's a very clear delineation and division of duties.
How many people work for the city?
We have about 180 employees.
Do you have enough?
I don't think anybody would ever tell you they have enough. I think that as our landscape has changed, demand is just like everybody wants everything instantaneously. And so I would tell you that we could always use more staff. However, I back that up by saying the labor pool, I don't even know if it could support the expansion of staff.
Right.
So, we have vacancies now that we cannot fill. So.
I understand at one point having CDL drivers was a problem. Is that still a problem?
You shouldn't ask things like that. I'm going to knock on wood and say that we are very well staffed in our
Okay.
CDL driver position right now. I believe we have one vacancy, but we have a really good staff of CDL drivers right now. So that has helped
great.
tremendously with the curbside. It was really tough for a while there. I mean, it was the worst I'd seen in terms of CDL driver shortage. And City Council addressed CDL driver pay and some other pay for our staff, which we were really in a lot of areas like woefully behind where we should have been in paying staff. And like it or not, that does have a pretty significant impact on hiring good people. So
Absolutely.
and maintaining them too.
Absolutely.
Retaining, not maintaining. Retaining.
Retaining. Well, one of the questions that did come in is, when will the dog park be fixed with all those broken fences?
Gosh, yeah. Whoever asked that, thank you so much. That has been so stressful. Gosh, we have been just. It has been so hard to get fence quotes, to get the
fence quotes
fixed. Yes, and you have to follow your own procurement. I can't just go out and get my cousin Eddie to come and fix the fence, right? That would be against the rules, and so you have to get 3 quotes and get things done. So I was actually talking to Draper right before I came over here, and we're getting ready to award that contract. So hopefully, that's the first fence I'm sending them to fix, y'all, for real. I understand it. It's been since October that fence has been damaged. I totally understand. I don't go to the dog park, but it's a beautiful space, and I know that a lot of people use it. So we're going to get that fence fixed as quickly as we can.
So, but you're on the verge of signing a contract to get this fixed.
But it's not for lack of trying, really and truly. It took us almost a year to get a fence fixed at West Cambridge Park, and that was before the hurricane.
Wow.
It's just like fencing contract. If y'all are looking for a side gig,
Fencing?
be a fence contractor. Or you can, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, if you need a side job, you should just drive around the city and offer to help people with their root balls.
Yeah, I mean, serious.
Because I think people are having a hard time finding tree contractors, which has been a challenge for us too. So
Sure.
When you have that many trees that fall in your community, your tree contractors are about the only people benefiting from that.
Right.
They're staying pretty busy. So
Now, how is the city as far as, do we have trees that we need to replace, or what are we doing as far as that?
I've reached out to FEMA and then another agency about some if there are any tree replacement programs that we can push out to our citizens. I know I had a recent email, and I think Forestry has a program where people can apply to get a tree to replace a tree that might have been lost in their yard. I tried to get FEMA to pay us to replace all the trees we lost, but they said no dice. I thought it was a fair question.
Well, right.
They said no. So,
Right.
yeah. And I'll tell you one thing that hurts my heart is, like, if you drive through downtown, you notice that a lot of the oak trees are starting to die.
Right.
And so we're going to have to start strategically removing them, which I hate because I love trees. But we lost a big oak tree during the hurricane over on the County Bank side of the square,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't dead. I was like, geez, I wish we would have lost one that was dead and
Right.
not one that was live. But yeah.
But I mean, it just has kind of changed the whole trajectory of things.
It really has, yep. We lost a lot of very mature trees.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. Now, what about one of the gardeners was saying that the trees that go down Main Street, that they're going to have to be replaced.
That's what I'm talking about. The oak trees along Main Street. There's
smaller
planted
ones.
too close together, and now I think they were planted like in the mid 80s or maybe early 80s, and now the root systems are getting into each other and they're starting to die. And so we're going to have to start, we have an arborist on staff,
Right.
and we're working on a plan to try to be strategic about removing them. Hopefully we can save some of them.
Now, I just saw something about movies in the park.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a new program that you're
Yep.
going to be doing, partnering with the Y.
Yep. So we have Foundry Park, Magnolia Park, Gray Street Park. So we're gonna try to just strategically move throughout the city and have movies. We bought a big inflatable screen, and we're partnering with the YMCA to rent the movies. So they're sponsoring the movie rentals. I believe the first one's April the 2nd at Foundry Park.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And you bring the popcorn, I understand. Yeah.
I think the police department will bring the popcorn.
Police is bringing the popcorn. Are they going to bring their
Gaming trailer.
the gaming trailer?
I don't know. They love to take that things out in the community, and the community loves it. So they probably will have it out there. I would
probably.
think. Yeah.
Anyways, that was something new that I saw. Well, we are going to hear a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, we've got a question about public transportation, what's happening with the new Grace Street Park, and I've had a couple others come in. So when we come back, we will continue talking with Julie Wilkie right here on WCRS. Don't you go away. If you've got a question, 864-229-7984. We'll be right back. let's see. We're right back here at WCRS Radio. Julie and I have been talking. We've had some more questions come in here this afternoon. We've talked about the dog park. That is going to be getting fixed soon. I guess we could say soon.
I sure hope so. I'm promising soon.
Soon, okay. We've talked about what type of government we have here between the city council and management here. Another question that came in along that same line is, how come y'all are soliciting all these housing developments, Julie?
Okay. Not soliciting.
You're not?
Soliciting, no ma'am. We're just a desirable place to live. I think that it was inevitable that housing growth was going to make its way from Greenville down to Greenwood.
Right.
It's not just Greenwood that's been seeing the housing growth. It's all the smaller communities around us. Lawrence, Newberry, all the smaller towns that haven't seen a lot of residential growth in a long time. I will say that, it was really hot and heavy there for a while. I mean, it was like every single week I was getting a call about a new development. It has significantly slowed down. I think you could probably attest some of that to city council sort of pausing on all that development to evaluate the zoning ordinance and try to make some adjustments to see where we could be a little bit more proficient in our planning.
Right.
And so since that time, things have slowed down. But you do have a good many housing developments that are underway that were approved, within the last 3 years. We had the one over by Triangle Hardware. I haven't looked at my list in just a little bit, but I think that one's about 130 homes. Then you have the one over behind Jerry's Produce, sort of on either side of the bypass there. That's like 120 homes. There's one across from Wesley Commons. That's a really big development, like close to 400 homes. But I do know that they're intending to phase that one. I think it's like 360 homes, and they're going to phase that one. So they're working on a phase one right now. There's another development that was approved at the Marshall Road at Matthews there, which is all four corners of that intersection. That was a very large planned development district that will include some commercial components. I know those plans, preliminary plans, were submitted about 3 weeks ago. So yes, some development is moving forward. There is some development that was approved that's been paused. So I don't think you'll see, I believe the last check was like 1,380 homes that were approved, but I think maybe half of those are under construction or will be under construction. So, and I understand it, and the clear cutting is what gets me. I don't like the clear cutting, and so we are looking at a tree ordinance to try to hopefully curtail some of that. I wish we had it in place ahead of time, but we didn't, and so you have to work within the laws that you got in front of you. We're that's what we're doing. We don't solicit, though, residential development, but I will tell you that as much as I don't like traffic as much as the next person, right? We know that it will add traffic. We won't pretend that it won't, because we know it will. But I will tell you that the residential growth is what's going to breed the commercial growth that everybody wants to see, right? I'll just use Target as an example, because everybody wants a Target.
Is Target coming?
Well,
is that an announcement right here on the radio?
No, ma'am. But you'll be the first to know. But a Target is going to look at your median household income, your population, your density, and they're going to make their own decision about if they want to come to Greenwood or not. You don't recruit a business like that. So if we're not growing, we're not going to see that type of development. And I know some people probably have no interest in saying that, but we're going to have to capture some of this growth and be responsible with how we do it. So I think City Council was wise to just sort of pause and evaluate, and I think that's why you kind of starts slowing down.
Sure, and you have that one over there by the high school.
Oh yes,
yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, that one's about I don't want to say the wrong number. I think it's like 180 homes. Yeah.
Under 200. That's still a lot of homes. Do you think we'll fill it? Do you think we'll fill all these homes?
Well, people ask me all the time, where are these people coming from?
Right.
I can't answer that question for you. And I'm a city manager, just like I'm not a doctor. I'm not a residential developer. So I can't tell you But what I can tell you is that when we meet with these developers, we do ask them. They have their own metrics that they're looking at. They're not going to come down here and build homes if they don't know they can sell them. A lot of people, they live in Greenville and they come to Greenwood and work. And then the opposite. If the opposite
we have a
is
lot
true.
going to Greenville, right.
So I think that if you don't have the homes, you're never going to capture that population. So I think I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict it for you, but I can tell you that these folks don't spend millions of dollars to build these subdivisions if they don't think they can sell the homes.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's another question. Now, this is a question for Julie here that came in from our own Chris here. He says, I have a question about the two cable access channels, Channel 3 and 17. Will you all be able to control those channels and operate them by putting city council meetings on them?
I'm assuming that he's asking about live streaming the meetings,
yes,
which I do not believe we have the ability to do. But I'll take a look at that. I don't think we have that capability.
Didn't you say that you used to do that?
We used to put static announcements on
Right.
on one of the channels. It wasn't too
I
different.
think it was 17. I think it was, yeah.
I can't remember the number, but we would just put a static, say, a city council meeting June 3rd.
Oh, okay.
But not
All right.
a live stream of the meeting. But they are on Facebook, and I know a lot of people don't have Facebook, but we do live stream them there.
Well, and the good thing about that is just like this right here, whether you're on Facebook or not, you can go back and have access to them.
Right.
And you can even watch them live.
Well, like I told you, I went back. I watched Jonathan Bass's interview.
Right.
With you, I wasn't able to watch it live, but I was able to go back weeks later,
Right.
and watch it. And then I critiqued everything.
You did? You critiqued him?
Yeah, and I said, "Did you know that you're on Facebook Live?" And he said, "I did not know that." I said, "I could see you the whole time."
Yeah, right.
I said, "Well,
right.
your hair looked great."
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, what else do we have? Now, what about the Grace Street Park, the new park that's being built? There's a lot of activity there, bulldozers and everything. Where are we on a timeline on that?
Yeah, I like to joke with Billy Nicholson, and I tell him all the time, I think y'all were planning this park before I was born. So that park has been being discussed for a very, very, very long time, and I'm so excited that we're finally seeing some dirt moving. I'm sure you know that park was funded along with a lot of the other park improvements through the 2016 capital project sales tax. And so we've finally got some dirt moving out there, and we're hopeful that construction will be completed sometime in probably October. You never know weather of this year. Weather is always indicative of weather, but that's our goal is October. So there'll be a pump track out there, which is it's almost like it's kind of like a skate park, but for bikes. So there's like a lot of hills and dips and maybe banks, and then we're gonna have like a little separate skate park area. Which I know we used to have one at the Civic Center that isn't there anymore. And a lot of skateboarders do come up to the farmers market a good bit, and they're breaking some of my bricks, and so we're gonna give them a place to go. And then it'll have a volleyball court. It'll either be sand or grass. We haven't decided yet. It'll be two pickleball. It might be one. I think it's two pickleball courts. A really nice playground that I'm hoping we can have some elements for really small kids and also some older kids. Typically, your playgrounds run from ages 2 to 12, but there are some options for kids that are a little bit older. So I'm hoping that we can really get a nice playground out there to be sort of like a premier playground. That's a really visible corner of our city, and so we really want it to be a nice premier park that we can show off to visitors, so, and for our own community too. So excited about it.
Yeah, so maybe by October.
Yeah, and it'll have a pavilion area similar to the one at Foundry Park where people can come and sit with their family, and it'll have bathrooms against my better judgment. I just wish we didn't even have to have bathrooms in the park because people just tear them up. It's really sad, Ann. If you want to do a campaign for just getting people to not destroy public property with graffiti or just kicking doors in, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
We're just gonna lock them up.
Just gonna lock them up. Yeah, right.
The doors, not the people, or maybe both.
Maybe the people.
Maybe
the
both.
doors are okay. It's the people. All right, so we've got Gray Street Park maybe. Now, one person has asked about public transportation. I know we have Matt Trans. I think they're talking about a bus system like Greenville and some of these bigger cities have. What is the possibility of that, Julie?
I'm not usually a pass the buck kind of gal, but on this one, I am going to pass the buck to our county manager there, Toby Chappell, because I really think county council is really the one kind of driving the train on public transportation. And so I wouldn't want to really answer that question and be out of line with what their plans might be. So
Right.
I'm gonna punt that one over to the county, and maybe you can email Toby about that one, and he can give a little bit more insight than I could give.
Okay. All right, because really that Matt Trans has really done a phenomenal job.
I think they have. I mean, their ridership has grown a lot faster than they anticipated in Greenwood. So, and I know they've expanded their boundary at least one time, and the offerings.
On
so
the offerings, right.
I haven't heard any statistics in a while, but again, Toby, he has all those numbers readily. He could just give it to you just like that.
Right. So maybe we should check with that. All right. Well, let's see. We had one other question here. I think what's coming? What's new that's coming to Greenwood that you're going to tell us?
Oh, I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed.
Whataburger is coming.
I don't know
all
what
right?
that's in the county, you know. That corner is in the county. Most people don't know that that's in the county.
See, well, okay. Well, there's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the city and the county so wonky on their lines on how they're drawn?
It's not wonky. You just have to know it. But Kmart, that whole plaza there is in the county. Captain D's is in the county. Dairy Queen and KFC are in the county. The Japanese place is in the county. Walgreens is in the city. Gray Street Park is in the
It makes
city.
total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed to reveal at this point. Let me come back to that one.
Let me
Let me think for a minute.
Let me think.
We
Okay.
do have a lot of commercial interest right now. We're really trying hard to get Chicken Salad Chick here. I'm not saying they're coming. I'm just saying we're trying really hard.
Because you like that one, Julie?
I think a lot of people are always saying, "What about
We
Chicken
need
Salad
another
Chick?"
chicken place. Of all the things
It's
we
chicken
need, it's salad.
salad.
Yeah, I'm eating it one.
I know everybody's complaining about all these car washes, but with all this pollen of it, they're busy. I will say that Oregon Station is set to come online sometime right around the Barbecue and Blues Festival, the Festival Discovery. So that'll be like mid-July
Of this year?
I think their goal is to be open by the Festival of Discovery.
Wow.
And then the Kitson Mill site is getting ready to break ground. They had a couple little utility things they had to work through. And so those are two really big.
Now, what's going to be happening at the Kitson Mill project?
That's going to be, they're going to have apartments there, and then they're going to have some commercial space in those old cotton warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of those cotton warehouses are going to be loft-style apartments. And then it's going to have big common space, and there'll be, like I said, a lot of commercial uses. So that's an exciting development. And then Oregon Station has sort of a similar concept. It won't have the residential piece, but
Right.
it's, they're putting in a little small amphitheater so there can be music there. I think it's going to be, those two developments I think are going to be really drivers for future development in the Uptown.
And then
There's a hotel coming, Home 2 Suites over on Hospitality Boulevard right behind County Bank.
Oh, okay.
Off Calhoun, right on the corner there, they're clearing property to put a Home 2 Suites there. So
Okay.
I think it's Home 2 Suites.
Home 2 Suites. And it's right over there on Calhoun.
That's a Hilton product. Yep, right behind County Bank,
Right behind County.
beside the movie theater.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'll keep thinking.
Keep thinking. Okay.
I'm trying to get Academy here before I retire. I got 6 years.
6 years?
6 years.
6 years? Is that what your time?
My
that's
kids
what
won't
your
even.
time
My
went?
kids will be too old for me to even visit Academy for sporting goods. But I know somebody's kids will benefit from it.
Well, there are so. What do you think the city needs, Julie Wilkie?
I think we need a sporting goods store because we used to have was it Action Sports there?
Yes.
And then we have Hibbett's, which
Right.
Is great, but it's small and you can't. It's like I have a left-handed child that plays sports, and I know think about like golf clubs and
Oh, it's
softball gloves, and they're hard to find. And so we usually have to go out of town to buy her what she needs. So I think we definitely need sporting goods. I would love it if we could get another bookstore since McCaslin's went out of business. I would love a bookstore. I think we need like a gosh, I don't want to say something and then be like, we already have that. I would love like a cute little ice cream place like downtown. I know we have like Scoops and Cups, but I'd love to have one downtown. So if you're listening, come on downtown.
That's right.
Not that other parts of the city aren't, great viable places to have a business. I just think some businesses thrive more in that more like walkable environment. So that's all I'm going to say, because I'm going to end up saying something wrong.
So coming up on April the 5th is the
I thought you were going to say the 9th, which is my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
Julie,
not
I'm
it. I'm sorry. April the 5th, yes.
April the 5th. You've got a big event coming, and this is to celebrate the grand opening of Waller.
Yes. Have you seen it, Waller?
I haven't been down it.
You need to walk over there. It is going to be the most beautiful streetscape we have ever done. It's all brick. We kept the brick pavers at the top that were original to the street, and then we put brick pavers on the bottom. It's going to be, where we can, it's a flush street. And so we're going to celebrate the grand opening of that street. Because anybody, like old Greenwood folks, remember we used to have the Spring Fling, and there were a lot of events on Waller Avenue. Mm-hmm. And so we're really trying to reinvigorate that space. And so on April the 5th, starting at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a Spring Fling style events. We're going to have food trucks and vendors and face painting and balloon animals and live music. We're going to have... I don't have the whole schedule. I bet I can pull it up real quick. But we're going to have local music throughout the day. And then our headliner is going to start at 7. And it's like a band called Dumps the Funk. And it's a funk band, but they're big and they're,
They're from New Orleans.
Yes,
from
they
New
are.
Orleans.
Yep.
They're supposed to be huge.
Yeah, and they're our stage, they were like, it's not big enough, and I was like, it's all we got. So we're I think that's gonna be really exciting. And then at the same time,
but you're actually going to have it on, where is the stage going to be set?
The stage will be like, have its back to Wachovia, so they'll be playing back up towards Carolina Health Centers, if that helps.
Right.
And then all those businesses over there, they've been so patient with us while the road had to be closed for construction. So this is an opportunity for them to get some business that maybe fell off a little bit while people couldn't access Waller by vehicle. So and we also, I know that there is also an event that evening at the Mill House. It may be at Good Times. I believe it's at Good Times.
Maxwell Crossing.
It's at Maxwell Crossing. It's Spring Jam with a lot of local music. And then I believe Sports Break's having feedstock. And then I think Howard's has something that night too. So everybody's got spring fever.
That's right. And they're also having the Jeep and Jam out there at the airport, which I had him on yesterday.
Okay, I didn't even realize that was the same day. Last year they did that during the Festival of Discovery.
Right. They moved it because it was too damn hot.
Well, I lose about 5 pounds every year during the festival.
But yeah, that's going to be going on at the airport. So
okay, I didn't even realize that was the same day.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's plenty to do. And all day. You can do it all day. Just go see a little bit of everything. But make sure you come uptown and show those businesses some love. And, just enjoy I'm hoping it doesn't rain. Gosh.
That's going to be bad. Yeah. Now, one other question. How about, what is your food truck ordinance? Because I think we should have more food trucks coming into areas. I mean, sometimes, I'll just say we have an event and they say there's food trucks there and there's only 1 or 2 and it's not anything very exciting.
You know what? That's a really good question. Our food truck ordinance doesn't prohibit it. What typically happens is that we will reach out to food trucks and we'll say have 5 or 6 that say they're coming, and then they're coming and they're coming, and then suddenly they don't come. And so, a lot of trucks get paid to go places, and then sometimes they want you to guarantee a certain number of people, and if you can't do that, they're going to go somewhere else. So, yeah. And also, too, like, you have to strike that balance between your brick and mortar restaurants, too, right? Because they have a lot more overhead than a food truck. And so our ordinance allows you to go within a certain distance of a brick and mortar, unless that restaurant can give you permission. They can say, yeah, you can be right here. We don't mind. So we try to be as open as we can be. I know that Festival of Flowers, I don't know if you've had Trincy on or they're having a big food truck event during the main weekend, which is, it may be the 6th. I'm not good with dates, but it's that first main weekend.
Right.
And that's going to be at the farmer's market, or the Uptown Greenwood market.
Yeah, you know, I remember, and, you know, I hate it when you remember something, but the first time we did the food truck thing in Uptown Greenwood, and they closed off Uptown, and there were all these food trucks. It was right after COVID, and everybody just wanted to come out, and everybody went, wow, this is really fantastic.
Yeah, and I remind our staff about that a lot. And I believe we can recreate it. It's just, I think food trucks have gotten so popular that they have so many options of where they can go.
They're too sophisticated now.
Yeah,
is that what?
fancy. They're fancy pants.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the food truck to come that has out of the back and pulls out a full overhead shade and tables underneath and everything.
There's not one food truck, I think it's called like Angel's Tacos. They post on Facebook all the time. They go all over this area, and I've asked our staff to reach out to them multiple times, and we can't ever get them to commit to come to our events, because who doesn't like a taco food truck?
Absolutely. It's good. It's good.
But it's a good question.
So but anyways, I that would be one thing that I would hope. And then of course we got the 250 celebration coming up. Already got stuff being planned for that. Not anything really to talk about, except that that's going to be a big push for our area too.
Yep. Yeah, Kelly McWhorter has really been instrumental in working with them on that, so I don't want to steal her thunder, but you could have her on and she could fill you in on all the 250 celebrations.
So lots of stuff coming on that. Well, since we're almost to the end and we have asked you all these questions, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot. Chris had one more question. Chris had one more question for you, Julie.
All right.
I have one more question for Julie. Why are y'all replacing the traffic lights from the doghouse signals to 3 lights and the yellow arrow flashing?
I am not replacing any traffic lights. The city of Greenwood doesn't own any traffic lights. You have to ask that question to DOT.
Oh, okay. All right, Chris. Well, there you go.
Sorry, Chris.
DOT.
I said again, I'm not a pass the buck, but I can't answer that question. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, as we close this out, Julie, how do you think this has been as a town hall here? I think it's been pretty great.
I like it. Like I said, it's my favorite format. I don't want to come on here and tell you what I think you want to hear. I want to know what you want to hear. So ask me all your questions.
Well, I think we've had good buy-in from the community here. I think it's been really good. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing as we finish up here?
No, I'm looking forward to the next one, so you just let me know when it'll be.
So we want to do another one.
I'm down.
You're down for it?
I'm down for it.
All right.
As long as, the people don't get tired of my voice.
I doubt if they'll get tired of your voice. And having information is a good thing to have.
Yes.
So when's the next city council meeting?
April 17th. No, April 21st.
April 21st.
Yes.
Any big issues that you've got coming up on that?
I know that we might potentially be looking at a, I can't remember the name of it, but basically like where you can't camp on public property, encampment ordinance. Because we've been having some camping on the swings uptown and in some of our parks and things like that. So
that's another question that nobody
yeah,
asked.
You said
we
were almost done.
Yes,
so
I know.
It's 5:59.
Yeah, I know. But
play your music.
But the question about the homeless and the homes that people have for people here that are in the city, where they put X amount of people in a house and then they dump them out. That's where I think a lot of that's coming from.
Yeah, a lot of our homelessness is coming from these sober living homes that aren't regulated by any agency in the state. So we really need somebody at the state or federal level to help us regulate some of this.
I understand that that's part of what the split on DHEC is supposed to do. Actually.
I sure hope so. I have asked DHEC many times to regulate them. It's not typically the ones that follow the rules are not the ones that we have problems with. It's just these random ones that pop up that you could run, and there's nothing that says you can't run it.
Right, I know.
Or me, and I don't know anything about
Exactly.
So yeah, it definitely contributes to that. I mean, we know that there are legitimate needs for those types of facilities. and understand their value, right, to the community. But a lot of them cater to folks from out of town. And so if I'm living in this sober living house, I'm not following the rules, and you kick me out, and I'm from New York, where am I supposed to go?
Exactly.
I don't have anywhere to go.
Now, do they, just had a question, this is a question, do they have to get a business license
Oh, they're
to bring in
they're
people?
supposed to.
Okay,
That's why I'm saying, like, the ones that follow the rules typically aren't the problem.
right.
It's the ones who don't follow the rules. So.
All right. Well,
Rules.
The rules. Well, Julie Wilkie, thank you so much for coming out here today. I think it's been a lot of fun. I think a lot of people have learned a lot of different stuff, so thank you very much.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Bye-bye.